says we need to fill the empty buildings, we need to fill the empty buildings. Does anybody know who owns all the empty buildings and why they're empty? Has anybody done any research on that? But what is a specific that you would do in order to help promote downtown?
Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll just go right on back down the aisle here. Each candidate, Chris, 1 minute.
We have an economical development committee that's in charge of that.
I'm on it.
Huh?
I'm
And you're
that
on it.
committee. Yeah.
So,
And we haven't received much support from the city council, but that's another sidebar, so.
well, you know, I mean, the council's involved in that. We have Greta Day that's in on that. I believe that Stan Pickering's involved in on that. He's not involved in that anymore.
He
Okay.
never was.
I thought he was he's on the Commerce, Chamber of Commerce, and he's supposed to be on that. And he's supposed to be involved in on this, in these situations and stuff like that, to report back to the committee and let us know what is going on this. And Greg Motley is supposed to be reporting back to us and letting us know what's going on. And you guys are supposed to be coming in and letting us know what's going on this.
We do minutes all the time.
And so, a lot of times, we don't get reports what's going on back on this. So who is in fault? Is it our fault, or is it an economical committee?
You get minutes after every meeting that we have. They're in your packets.
A lot of times, we don't get minutes on these.
May I respond?
A lot of times, we don't get.
What would be your specific that you would help entice businesses to come downtown? And not just dump it on the chamber or something?
Is it our fault that?
No, I didn't say it was anybody's fault. I'm just saying, what are your steps that you would take to help promote Baxter Springs?
Is it the committee's fault? Is it our fault that we can't help get grants, or is it our fault that we can't tell the businesses to do this? Or is it the owner's fault? You see what I'm saying?
No, not at all. I asked you for a specific of what you would do in order to help.
We would back
entice-
anybody that wants to do anything they
I know,
want
but
to
what
do.
are you doing to attract them? Specifically as the city council. I mean, the city council.
All they
has
gotta do
have
is
some-
come in and say, hey, we need help, and we would be glad to help them.
We need help, Ed.
Well, all they gotta do is just come in and say something, you know, come in and talk to us, and we'd be glad to help them out.
You don't notice that there's empty buildings downtown?
But whose fault? It's not our fault.
Okay, never mind.
And we are going to ask that once the question is asked, we let
Okay.
the candidates respond, so we can get out of here in a reasonable amount of time.
Well, like I said, I'm new to this. All I know is I've worked at the Downstream Casino, and I talked to John Berry and to Alan Mock and all them about things and ways that they could help the city, if they could and if they would. I really have no idea what it takes to build a city and what it attracts it, but I think that in my own mind, it would take some kind of maybe a special offering or something to try to attract them in here. I know Chatopa has on their housing, they offer a $12,000, I think it's $12,000, $1,200, I'm sorry, $1,200 for anybody that builds a home in their city. And that might be a way that we could attract a business in here if we would offer some breaks to them. And like I said, I'm real new at this, so I don't really know. It's just the idea that I've seen.
Sue, I can honestly believe you asked that question, okay? So, starting off, downtown, since I've been here, I've watched it. I've also seen other downtowns in areas where I've lived. I lived in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma at one time. Watched some of that change. I actually watched Tulsa and Broken Arrow grow together. They're no longer one. You can't tell that it's not just one big thing. You know, myself personally, I do not have an exact thing to tell you what is gonna make business go into Baxter Springs, okay? Now, I do know, it wasn't awful long ago, actually before Bilkey closed down and before Cafe on the Route shut down, there was actually not that many vacant buildings downtown as far as our ownership goes, okay? Now, there are some buildings that are owned that these people do not want to sell, and there's nothing in them at the moment, but at least there was some effort in restoring these buildings, which that's an effort for the future, okay, in my opinion. Now, our chamber can help assist in just letting people know what our town has, okay? And then the Economic Development Committee. When Jennifer Bingham resigned, Greg Motley contacted me and basically wanted to know, do we still exist? And I said, absolutely. And I went and met with Greg. I went and met with Bert Kellum, both of them. And I let them know my feelings on that committee. And my feelings are, and still are, city council, and that's the business side of our town. We need mainly to conduct business. I look for myself, the Economic Development Committee, to be an extension of our town to take their expertise, okay, and search out and let the outside of Baxter people know what we have available, okay, and then if they get to the point where they have viable options, okay, then come to the council and let us know so we can further assist in securing these type of people. Thank you.
I think the Chamber of Commerce needs to get more involved in the city. They need to get involved with the downtown people, because you folks are the downtown people. You know, and the city will help, and I have no qualms that anybody newly elected or on the council now would not work with anybody. We're working with a development personnel, our people now, that's taken over the junior high, which is gonna put about 26 to 30 apartments in there. We was working on another one, housing development, but it fell through because of lack of funds, you know. But I worked on, I was on economic development for years. Terry Martin, Dean Derryberry, Chuck Sweeten, and myself worked with the governor of Kansas, and we got backtracked in here. And we worked hours, and we worked hard at it. And it's still here today, you know. So, yes, we need more housing. We need a lot of things. And it's gonna take the chamber to really get involved. I hear everybody saying things, but I don't hear them say the chamber much. I wish the chamber would get involved with their downtown people. They would find out that they have some people, some of the businesses, or the buildings downtown, they're not for sale. You know, the other buildings, they're up for sale. Hopefully we can get some businesses in here, you know. I think they're going to go, I belong to this Joplin Regional Prosperity, and we're going to try to do Ozark Salad, try to get it. That might be the time to look at some of these buildings and get them cleaned up. Let's get some pictures. Let's say what they are. Let's get out there and promote it. So, and I'd be more than glad to work with any of the chamber people that would want to get together with some of the council and work hard on this. I think the chamber does a good job. I mean, and that's what we need.
Well, one thing we have to realize is that our city, all these buildings uptown were built late 1800s, early 1900s. If they're empty now, before a business would match them to whatever businesses they want to put in there, there's a lot of infrastructure that has to be done. Those buildings are not electrical, they're not plumbed, they're not conducive to modern businesses. But when we do have a business that wants to come in, and I agree with Donnie and Ed, the Economic Development Committee is a select people of any town, whether it be Baxter Springs, Lena. These are people that have the expertise to guide these people. These are the people that, we have a banker, Sue, you're a businessman, we have chamber people on there, we probably have school people on there. People have these tough questions that they need some money or grants from Topeka. The Economic Development Committee that's a committee that guides these people. And I'm on that, your building itself, I know you underwent a humongous remodeling on that building. There's a lot of small businesses that cannot put the amount of money into a building like you did to be able to come in and do a business. Most of our buildings uptown are not readily to where a person can just go right in and move into them without some kind of a major infrastructure remodel. When a business comes, we need to be able to guide those people, but also the Economic Development Committee. That's the purpose of that committee, is to guide those people to try to get their business established. The governing body will do the best we can to assist them at a local level, but there's a lot of time they need help from the state level, and that's where the development committee comes in.
Well, first off, let me say hats off to the mall and paw businesses up on Main. I can't imagine trying to maintain a business here in Baxter just on a small shop. It's got to be a rough go. As far as availability of buildings, I think our real estate people here in town, of course, obviously, if they call them, they could steer them to buildings that are going to be available. The last count I had, if I'm not mistaken, we had the city of Baxter Springs owned 62 or 66 properties. Now, out here on the old highway, they were going to put a park or something in. We've got 40-some acres, I believe, out north of town. We're waiting for a business. We're waiting for a business that needs a large tract of ground. We've waited 23 years and they haven't showed up yet. You know, how long are we going to hold on to this thing? Let's create a housing development if that's our problem. We need housing here for small business. Let's do something with it, folks. You can go down along this river. Of course, nothing we can do about it now. We've taken on all this mowing for the federal flood thing. That's a lifetime debt for us. We can never do nothing with it. You can't build on it. Who wants to buy it? Go out there and mow it, take care of it. But the city's got to turn loose some of this property. We can't sit around here and wait forever for somebody to come in here. We've got to take some kind of initiative and get it. Tax rolls, not getting a dime, not getting a dime off of it. So we need to do something with all the property that the city owns, and we just keep accumulating, it seems like to me. So.
Well, the codes in Baxter, I'm not familiar enough with the codes on the buildings that we have and the housing that we have. I just know that there are a lot of houses and buildings that aren't safe to even walk around. So I guess I would like to know what the larger cities or other cities do to keep their buildings and their housing up to code. And as far as the businesses coming in, it's just like, Sue, when you came to Baxter, did anybody offer you any breaks or any incentives to bring your business?
No.
Okay, was there a committee that you met with that welcomed you, or?
No.
And
They're still waiting for some to show up.
How did you find your building? How did you find your building here?
It was just the for sale sign in the window.
Well, I think that, we might have a group of people. I don't know if you guys remember back in the old days, you move into Joplin and a welcoming committee came to your house, brought you a little bag full of coupons and maps and phone books and things like that. Same thing for a resident, same thing for a business. Somebody's got to show up. Somebody's got to help them look for a building, point them to people, introduce them to the realtor, introduce them to the people that own the building. Contractors, any of that, but we need resources like that, an actual group of people that are responsible for taking care of the new people in town, or the ones that would like to move to town. So that's what I've got.
I believe I have lots of experience in this area. I live downtown in my building. My husband and I converted an apartment in the back, so we spent a lot of sweat and tears of creating that so that we could afford to have a store downtown and living back in Baxter. The taxes here are 3 times higher than they are in Springfield, Missouri, so, we struggle with taxes also. But here's my deal. When I ask